Balotelli, Aguero!
Welcome back to the On the Ball podcast, another episode of the boys talking crap about AFL footy. I feel like AFL footy is a weird thing to say because footy is in AFL, like the word football. So you're sort of just saying footy. But anyway, AFL footy, it sounds good. Welcome back, boys. In the middle of a lockdown, looking hairy, Pilch. I like it. How are you, mate?
Thanks, mate. Good start to my confidence there, but I'm going well, mate. Good weekend of footy wise, not Supercoach wise, but we'll get into it shortly.
Yeah, Supercoach was pretty hectic. Obviously, everyone that was hit in some way or another, whether it be Josh Kelly, Dusty, the COVID outs. Rowie, how are you, mate?
I'm all right, mate. I love that bit of dribble you've just talked to kick off the episode about AFL and footy. That's quite nice. Going well. Obviously, shocking week for footy for myself and fellow Saints fans, but it was good around the board. Supercoach was pretty shit, but it's going all right on a lovely Tuesday afternoon. It's just started hailing, so I'm going to mute myself every time I'm not talking because I think it's sort of tapping on the window. But yeah, I'm going all right, mate.
Yeah, play on. Who cares? It's pissing down outside. I've got a stump in my hand. I'll probably just be wandering it around all episode. So, yeah, who knows? But we'll just be talking dribble. We've all not probably talked to many people, given we're in lockdown. But straight into the winners and losers. We're not doing a redraft this week, but we're going to be talking about some maybe rule changes, suggestions, and free agents. But before we get into that, we've got to get through the usual stuff. Winners and losers from round 18. I think it was. Yeah. Pilch, who are your big winners?
I'm going to talk about my boys again this week. Look, it wasn't a flash game of footy. In fact, it was quite a poor, very scrappy. Had neutrals texting me, "This is the worst game I've ever seen." But after the game, the more I looked into the context of it from a Port side of things, the ladder implications, securing the top 4 position, a Saints team that didn't play well, but were arguably the most informed team, undefeated after the bye, big wins against Brisbane and Richmond, a lot of injuries, depleted team on the road, COVID. It was a great win, and sometimes you got to win ugly, and Port Adelaide have shown over the last 2 years that we're quite good at doing that, and sometimes you just got to do it the hard way, and we've done it, and it's got good implications for the rest of the season. So upon reflection, it was actually one of our better wins of the year. So I'd definitely have us probably as the biggest winners of the week.
Interesting take for sure, but fair enough. Rowie, who would you say the biggest winners were?
The reason I didn't put Port in was, I completely agree with everything you said there, Pilch. It was an ugly win, but you do need to win those games to get into finals. No team is going to have a perfect sort of set of wins every year, so those are the type of games you need to win, and Port did it. I'll highlight Richmond quickly. Obviously, got the job done over Brisbane. Finally, sort of broke those few weeks of down football. I think if you were smart enough, you could see this coming. It was the Richmond that we all kind of know. Brisbane obviously lost Eric Hipwood the week before and suffered a bit of a structural setback. And Richmond, it was Rewalt's obviously big game and everything. And obviously he kicked 6, Chol kicked 4, and obviously got the job done. The big question now is how they're going to manage without Dusty. I think everyone's chucked him in their top 8s now after probably a week or two of not having them in there. I obviously didn't kick them out, and this is exactly why I knew this was going to happen, hence why I tipped them. So very happy with that. Won a bit of money that night as well on them, which was good. Another good week, I think, not another, but a good week for Hawthorn as well. Obviously, could have gotten the win over the D's, but I think to get 2 points over the top of the ladder is top ladder teams, obviously very promising. They sort of unearthed Lockie Bramble, who seemed like an absolute weapon off halfback, was given the kick-out duties in the last few minutes. So big responsibilities to him, but proving to be another good find for Hawthorn, their quest to blooding in some new boys. West Coast as well to respond to the last few weeks to get the job done over at Adelaide, in front of Adelaide Oval, which is actually a tough ask. So congrats to them. Won by 32 points. So a good response from them. It's definitely the response they needed. So see how they go in the remaining matches of the year, and Sydney as well, to come back from a slow start against the Giants to just chalk up another one of those wins that we keep talking about with the Swans. Just keep on chipping away. They've locked themselves in for finals now, obviously. So it's just now about finishing as high as they can and going as far into September as they can. They're obviously a quality side with lots of good young talent. So it's good to get the win over the Giants and win that mental battle, which I think the Giants definitely lost after a few injuries and being in front and potentially getting ahead of themselves.
Yeah, agree with that 100%. Tell you what, the Hawthorn game, that was pretty spicy. Didn't actually know Luke Bruce was still alive. I think that's the first time I've seen him all season when he kicked that snag. But when that ball fell to him, you just knew it was a goal. Inbound, my biggest winner you guys actually haven't mentioned yet. I've got Geelong, who, look, they ruined Thursday night footy, if we're going to be honest. We could talk more about Freo because they were absolutely awful. But Geelong probably showed why I had them as the number one flag favourite last week. And yeah, they just looked really, really dangerous. And they look like a very scary opposition. They've had a few pretty impressive away victories now in the last 6 or 7 weeks. So yeah, it's starting to get a little bit scary for some of the other big contenders. And especially when sides like the Lions and stuff are maybe stumbling a little bit. So yeah, I thought Geelong were big winners. The losers, Pilch. Anyone you want to mention here?
I actually would have said Adelaide as my biggest loser. Playing at home, West Coast are they're a better side than Adelaide, but they're in horrid form and they just got whacked at home. So you can safely say that Adelaide are back down to being in the bottom 3 teams of the comp. And then obviously St Kilda on the flip side of Port, they just played horribly. They honestly had a chance to win, and then they just started pretty much just choking, just turning the ball over every time they got it. So yeah, they're probably the biggest two.
Yeah, the amount of intercept marks in the St Kilda Port game was pretty silly. But
It got to a point where like neither team seemed like they wanted to win the game. It was just awful. But yeah,
dead set. Rowie?
Well, I'll tell you why there was so many flipping intercept marks that game is because we are the absolute kings of kicking to 2-on-1 contests. And I don't know if you remember, Pilch, but so I don't know. It was just basically every contest, really, the game. We would kick to a 2-on-1. But even some of our inside 50s, there'd be absolute paddocks of space. It might be like a 2-on-2 or something spread around the whole inside 50. We'd still manage to kick to a 2-on-1. I think even in the instance when it was 4-on-2 to the Saints, and we ended up running into an open goal, I think it was Brad Hill or something just strolled in. We still managed to kick to a 2-on-1 that contest, and I think it was like Lean It and someone else just spoiled each other. It was yeah, exactly. So it was. I was thinking of an analogy to describe St Kilda this week, and I came up with a perfect one. So I think the last few weeks we've obviously been, we've obviously lost all that talk of finals and all those expectations. So I think we started focusing on our structure. I think the last few weeks we obviously got Marshall and Ryder together, and we focused a lot more on like the ball movement and all that. So that was all great and well and happy when we weren't focusing on finals. And then we got to Port, and then obviously it all went to shit. And I think a good way to describe it is say you're a kid going into an AFL club, and it's like your first training session, and you're just kicking to a random trainer, no big name or anything. You're just kicking to a random bloke. You're focusing on your ball drop and everything, and your execution, your penetration of the kick. That's all great. And then you stick Dusty Martin in front of you. You're not going to be focusing to the same extent as you were before. You're going to be thinking, shit, it's Dusty. I don't want to fuck this kick up. I think that's exactly what St Kilda did. I think we got stage fright. We just completely, as soon as we got the word finals mentioned again, or at least whispered into our ear, and we had a good side coming up against in a must-win game, I think that's exactly what happened. We sort of forgot how to play. We forgot, our structure and everything, how we've been winning the last few weeks. I think that analogy sums up basically what's happened this week compared to the last few weeks. We raised the expectations. We got a good side put in front of us, and because of that, we forgot how to play and what's been working over the last few weeks. So overall, yeah, it's now time to move on to 2022. They gave us a bit of false sense of belief. Unless they can turn that around miraculously in the next 2 weeks, it's probably going to be focusing on next year. But I can't see us now with Marshall out with the news in the last 20 minutes. I can't see us getting on top of West Coast this week, but we'll wait and see. And yeah, obviously Freo were terrible. Hammer, you pointed out on that. To only have the 3 goal kickers at home is absolutely woeful when Geelong could kick over 100 in the wet. Obviously Sean Darcy was huge, but apart from that, everyone was shit. And GWS as well to lose that mental battle to Sydney. So obviously another team vying for finals, just weren't up to the challenge. So overall, yeah, it was 3 teams that weren't up to the challenge for me. They were all vying for finals. And I think it's going to be, well, Essendon, I think are just going to absolutely Bradbury skate across them and maybe finish in the top 8 or at least overtake them all. And I think West Coast and Richmond are going to be vying for those last few spots as well. But I think those 3 teams put a line through each of them this week in terms of finals.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, Freo just dog shit. I actually forgot it was in the wet, but yeah, Geelong were like holding the ball for like 6 minutes at a time. They were just chipping it around, and Freo legit couldn't get near it. So yeah, Freo the biggest loser for me. The other loser probably Melbourne, but we've talked about this before. They don't really do well against the small teams, but they win the big games. So if they keep that trend up, it doesn't really matter.
That result pissed me off so much.
Why? Why did that piss you off?
Because literally 7 days before that game, they went to Adelaide Oval and played the game of their lives, and then the following week they draw to Hawthorn. Just an absolute joke. But to be fair, I'll take the dropped points.
Yeah, fair. I thought you'd be happy. Bontempelli broke the record for the most clangers in one game. 14. Just thought I'd shout that out.
You were loving that. I've never seen you use
because
that before.
I just looked on Fan Footy. It was just a freak coincidence, and I was like, he had like 11 halfway through the third, and I was like, shit, that's a lot. And I just Googled it, and the record was like 13. And then, next minute he broke it, and I was like, I feel like this is a monumental moment. Like, I was looking at the records, and all the people who had 13 before, there was only like 5, and it was spread out across like 15
Dusty?
years or something. So I was like, this is he might have had one. There were a few minutes. I know Buddy had one. I was like, how does he get 13 clangers? Like, when does he touch the ball enough to have 13 clangers? I was confused by that one, but I can't remember who else was in there. I think Danger had a couple. They might have been 12s though, but he was up there a few times. And then Aaron Hall, this is probably a bit stiff to having the losers, but he beat the record for the most kicks without a contested possession. So win a hardball, mate. But no, all jokes aside, I actually froth Aaron Hall. Good looking bloke. And then my other loser, the Port Pilch. What do you think about this? I think the Port jersey that they wore on Saturday is like actually one of the worst jerseys of all time. It's just such an unappealing
grey one. Yeah, no one likes it.
Yeah,
no one likes it. I'm not a fan either. But
like, I think the teal and black is a nice color combo. Even the white and teal. I don't know why they need to get grey involved, but yeah, anyway, I thought I'd mention that. That was a low light of my week, looking at that. But yeah, anyway, Port got up, so can't bag them out too much. Time for the top 8, boys. I might kick us off today. I did mine last week, so I might just do it for the rest of the year. And I'm sad to say my top 8 is actually just back to the original top 8 that we thought it was going to be for like 10 weeks. The orders changed, but my only change from last week is I've got Richmond in for the Bombers in 8th. Obviously, I didn't predict Richmond to win last week, so now factoring in that win, it's meant they've leapfrogged them. So yeah, I'll just read it out quickly. Dogs 1, Cats 2, Lions 3, Demons 4, but that's all. I think 4 points or maybe 6 points in it, very close. Power in at 5th, still just nudging out the Swans at 6th, Eagles in 7th, and Richmond in at 8th. So unfortunately, Pilch, that would mean the dreaded Power v Richmond elimination final. But I feel like that's a little bit less scary without Dusty, even though it's a 22-man team.
That's easy claps, mate.
That. I don't know, mate. I don't know. But yeah, anyway. Pilch, who have you got, mate?
Yeah, so in at number 1, They're back. Nah, jokes. I was going to put them at first, but I'm pretty sure even if we go undefeated, we won't have the percentage. So I've actually got Geelong first. I think them and Melbourne are the best two teams in it. Melbourne second. Melbourne have a slightly harder fixture, so I've got Geelong pipping them. Bulldogs third. Port fourth. Brisbane fifth. Swans sixth. Richmond seventh. I do think Dusty's a big out, but they'll make finals. And then I've actually got the Dons in at eighth. I've snubbed the West Coast. I still don't really back them in as a good team. And I have just heard the Rowan Marshall news, but I think the Saints are actually a very good chance to cause the upset. As long as they don't play like shit again. But yeah.
Yeah, I actually
So
rate
yeah,
the
Don's
Dons
eighth.
cool.
Yeah, I did my actually ladder predictor yesterday, and I took a screenshot of it for today's episode, and I accidentally deleted it. So I think I remember it. So I had the D's in at top and the Dogs in at second, Cats in at third, and Brisbane come back up to fourth, unfortunately. So Port fall down to fifth. Sydney in at sixth. I've got Richmond finishing at seventh. And West Coast just pipping the Bombers by a game. Bombers had better percentage for me, but just missed out on the 4 points. So that could genuinely change by the week. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But I've got the Bombers in at ninth at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. I've got the Swans v Eagles right now in the elimination final. That would be spicy because they would be coming in off their freaking 100-point loss or whatever it was. So there'd be some mental demons there. Any other matchups that spice you boys in the finals potentially?
I just want to see a Melbourne versus Dogs game at one point. I reckon that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
they're playing this week, aren't they?
Get crowds back, but they are, yeah. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, I'd love to see that match at the G.
Yeah, I want to see Brisbane Cats at the Gabba, but I don't think Lions are going to finish high enough to get that done. But anyway, all right, moving into the talking points of the episode. I was going to do this one last week, but we had a long episode anyway, so I decided not to. Chris Scott the other week mentioned shortening the game by 20 minutes in general, which I thought was pretty outrageous for one of the head coaches to come out and say, but it got me thinking. In NRL and other sports, in particular NRL though, there seems to be chats of rule changes quite often. AFL, it's more just interpretations of rules like holding the ball and stuff like that, I'd say, that get altered. But if there were the chance for you boys to actually change a rule, you can change interpretations if you like. What would you change? I'm interested to hear some AFL people's opinions because I have no idea what you guys like and don't like about the game. Pilch, what would you change if you had the chance?
Yeah, so I actually didn't mind the idea behind the new how you can't move on the mark rule to speed up the play. But instead of doing that, what I would have done was a lot of the time you see when players take a mark, the defender holds them for like 3 seconds, just completely shutting down the opportunity for them to play on quickly, get the ball moving. And I think they should be a lot stricter on that, bring in some 50-metre penalties for like stopping a player from playing on like that rather than not being able to move on the mark. So that's what I'd do, which is kind of like soccer.
Yeah, true. Yeah, no, I actually rate that idea. That happens a lot in the game. Rowie, what would you change?
Well, I'm a big. I'm one of those people that really don't want to change the rules unless necessary. Like, I think a few of the rule changes I've liked over the last few years is, the kicking out of the back. I think that's really helped. You don't have to actually kick to yourself. You can just run out. I think that's been sort of incentivized people to just run out, which is good. I like that one. I like the stand rule now as well. I'm glad that, umps aren't paying it literally every game because I think there are some instances where players accidentally take one step, but the umpire gives them a bit of leniency there, which is good. It's more so, they just don't want them sort of running around and stopping them from actually going one way. So I like those. The one that I would change, I would get a little bit more lenient on the sort of protected area when players sort of take a mark somewhere just around the ground. I think it's pretty stupid when you get given a 50-meter penalty because someone 5 meters away from you runs a certain direction. That's one that I just can't fathom. But I can obviously understand it. I would just sort of make that, protected area a lot smaller. I wouldn't have it so that someone literally 5 meters away from you can, change the course of play just by running in a certain direction. I'd change that. I wouldn't touch the length of the game. If you are really, really wary of plays running out of steam and increasing the likelihood of injuries, just increase the amount of interchanges you're allowed per game. I wouldn't touch the length of the game. It's been that way for a long time, and the players seem to like it. I always only ever hear about fans and more so just coaches talking about shortening the length of the game, but stuff them. It's a better game when it's longer. I think we all hated it last year when it was 16 minutes long or however long it was. So, in terms of what changes, I'd only do that, sort of restricting the protected area because I just think it's stupid but that it's that big. So, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, I got some more drastic ones. I'm not changing the fabric of the game, but me and Brownie were having a chat at the Oval the other day, and we think the post should be in play. So if the ball hits the post, it's just like wherever the ball goes happens. So if the ball goes in off the post, it counts as a goal. If it goes in the behind off the post, it counts as a behind. If it comes straight back into play, it's play on. Because, I don't know, I just think that would make for some hectic moments. I don't really rate the reviews when they're like trying to work out if it schnicked the post. Like, who cares? Let's just go post it in. It's in. If it comes back out, it's hectic. I think that would be spicy to see. And then, this is a weird one, but I'd get rid of the below the knee tackling. Like, I think you should be allowed to tackle below the knee because I don't see why not. I think if you lunge for them and tackle their ankles, I think fair play. You're risking your own life being kicked in the face by doing it. So I think you should be allowed to do it. I can't see, they call it like tripping or something, but it's like you're using your hands, not your feet. Obviously, you can't trip with your legs like that's dog ass. But yeah, I think if you go down for an ankle tap or something, play on with your hand. Like that's good defensive work, in my opinion. And then this is something from more as a player's point of view. They need to do something. I don't rate in a marking contest. You can just do anything with your knees and legs and shit. Like the fact that you can get kneed in the back of the head or kicked in the face is, I reckon that's a bit outrageous. Like, I don't want to play footy and get kneed in the back of the head and kicked in the face. So I don't know how you'd change it because it'd be hard to change marking contests and make it like you can't use your knees because that's sort of the way everyone's grown up marking. So it would take a long time to get rid of. But yeah, I don't really want to cop a knee in the kidney or something when I go up for a marking contest. And I know all the players are very brave and they just do it anyway. But yeah, as a player myself, I never want to put myself in that situation. So if they could change the rules so I don't look like a coward, that'd be greatly appreciated. But yeah, no, I agree with you boys with the length. If you watch like 3 games back to back, yeah, maybe that gets a bit long. But yeah, if it's worked for 120 years or whatever it is, I agree with you, Rowie. Most of the rules shouldn't change. I do rate that about AFL, how they're pretty confident in the way their games run and they're just happy with it. I know there's been a bit of talk about the holding the ball rule, but it's worked for a long time, so I don't know. I feel like they should police the 15-meter kick a bit better as well. I feel like there's so many kicks that get through that are like 10 meters.
Yeah.
So either just get rid of the rule as a whole or just start actually policing it because, yeah, it's ridiculous how many times in like the back line you see a 10-meter kick basically give the team a free possession and gives them like 10 seconds to set up and stuff with a mark. All right, time for some free agent talk. I can't lie, when I did this...
I've got another one, actually.
That many. Oh, all right. Yeah, rip in.
That was a massive delay there, but I think the deliberate rule needs a bit of a toggle, especially when blokes get done holding the ball, but they scamper to the boundary line and get out of bounds. I think if you've had prior and you get tackled over the boundary, then it should be holding the ball or a free kick to the other team.
That's fair, mate.
And
the amount
of times you just see blokes walking it over the line under, not that much pressure in their defensive 50. They just walk it over the line, get a throw in. I think they need to be stricter on that sort of thing as well. Because the only time you ever see deliberates get paid is when they're clearing it out of their defensive 50 and it goes out, which sometimes I don't even think is deliberate.
Yeah. Would you think it would be too far of a stretch to say they should just get rid of throw-ins in general and just say whoever it's last off gets the kick? Or do you...
I thought about that. I actually thought about that. I thought about whether if you kick it out, no matter what, then it should be a free kick. But I'm not sure if it would work or not. But a lot of the skill errors, honestly, should be free kicks to the other team, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I do rate that there are a lot of times the player just backs over the line. It's pretty obvious what they're doing. But yeah, all right, time for some free agents. Rowie, I feel like you're the king of this topic, so we'll head to you. I don't know how many you're going to talk about, but I'm interested to see which free agents you rate the highest.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a weird one because there's a lot of obviously unrestricted free agents where you sort of pull them all together. Lots of them are only free agents because they're just old and signing 1-year deals. So I've just got a couple here. So I think Josh Kelly is the biggest one this year now. He's obviously in GWS at the moment and he's restricted. So basically any club that wants him can offer him a sum of money, and if he wants to take it, he can. So I think he's definitely the biggest one. He's probably the best quality player at the right age as well. Obviously, injury is the only problem at the moment, annoyingly, because he's such a quality player. So at the moment, I think he's going to be the biggest talked about one this offseason. Cam Guthrie is one that's a free agent, hasn't re-signed, but I think he will. Obviously, having probably a career best year this year in that midfield. Matt Crouch is another one for Adelaide. Obviously, has been an All-Australian, but is really injury ravaged over the last couple of years. He's out of contract and he's being caught, I think, by Port as well at the moment. So that's an interesting one for you, Pilch. Don't know if you'd want him or not, but he's being looked at by you guys. And then there's just a bunch of players. I think, there's players like George Hewitt, who's a restricted free agent, Jack Billings as well. Then there's a lot of unrestricted ones, which are obviously are less likely to be leaving, but in the likes of sort of Ed Curnow, Matt Kennedy, Chris Mayne, Robbie Gray's actually one, but obviously he's going to be re-signing. David Asprey, Luke Dunstan's been talked about a bit now, Luke Parker and all those guys. But yeah, the rest of the people on those lists are just sort of older boys, just signing those 1-year deals. So yeah, there's not too many restricted free agents this year, not as many as there has been in the past, but I think the main ones are going to be Kelly, probably Jack Billings as well. I think another shocking performance on the weekend from him. He just went missing. I think might be right for Saints to let him go and see what we can get for him. And yeah, it's going to be more around just trading this year rather than free agency moving. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I'm definitely sort of just going the main 1, 2, 3 in Kelly, Guthrie, Crouch. Expecting, obviously, Guthrie's the one that's most likely to be staying there. But yeah, watch this space for Kelly and Crouch. Kelly, especially for Victorian fans, because don't know what he's tossing up. I've heard, both sides of the story. He's more likely to come to Victoria. He's more likely to stay. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at the end of the Giants season.
Yeah, I've only written 7 down here. I actually think Josh Kelly's going to stay, personally. I just think the deal he's got there is just too good to turn down. It's something like, I can't remember what it is. Is it 7 years? It's 1.1 mil a year or something ridiculous like that. I can't remember. And it's all his choice if he wants it. So I don't know why he would turn that down personally. And I just can't picture him in another jersey. But yeah, it would be pretty spicy to see him go somewhere else. It'd be entertaining. So he's obviously the biggest fish for me. A lot of Victorian clubs would want him. Well, a lot of clubs around the league would want him. But yeah, for me, I reckon he will just stay. Number 2, I've actually got Lukey Parker. I know he's a bit older and he's probably just going to re-sign, as you mentioned, Rowie, on a shorter contract. But I do think he's a little bit overlooked sometimes. I think he's a genuine weapon of the competition. Even though he chops it at times, all good extractors love to chop it, and he is one of those boys. He just racks up, 6 to 10 clearances a game, like no one's business, and he's an absolute weapon. But yeah, I think he'll stay. I don't know why you would be tempted to leave that Sydney Swans side at the moment. They're going to need a few experienced guys to lead around that young side, and I think he's perfect for it. Cam Guthrie, as you mentioned, Rory, number 3. Once again, can't picture him leaving, but the last 2 years he's gone to another level. He was always just like a solid role player for them, but in the last couple of years he's turned into one of their real stars. Number 4, I've got Matty Crouch. It's always been talked about how impactful he actually is, but he knows how to find the footy. He knows how to get a contested possession. I think he'll leave just because he hasn't played for the Crows for so long, pretty much. I wouldn't surprise. I feel like he'd be quite disconnected from the side at this point. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go somewhere else. And I think it would be quite interesting to see him go somewhere else. And we can maybe see if he can become a more impactful player elsewhere. So yeah, that's the one to watch out for. Another one, I think he's still a free agent, but Georgie Hewitt, still fairly young. I wouldn't be surprised if the Swannies let him go, to be honest, because they're just going to have a lot of issues in the next few years keeping some of those young guns. So I think someone like a George Hewitt is probably one of the more expendable players. I think he had a really good game on the weekend, actually. But yeah, I reckon Georgie Hewitt wouldn't be a bad pickup for any side in the competition. Would just be a pretty solid role player. Not going to be like one of your top 3 players, but, he'd be better than the average Joe on your side. You can count on him most weeks. Sean Lemons is someone who's had a bit of a breakout season, you'd have to say. I think he's been pretty mythical up to this point in his career, but he's turned into a lockdown defender, and he's actually pretty good at it. There's not too many lockdown smalls going around. He's actually pretty decent at it. He's a free agent, so I reckon he'll stay. I think Gold Coast will realise the importance he brings to the side, so I reckon he'll stay there, but that'll be an interesting pickup if a big team would go get him, because I don't think he would demand much salary, to be honest. He doesn't really have a big name factor or anything like that, so that'd be interesting. And then, yeah, finally, I've only got 7, so Jack Billings. Would be interested to see if he left, if another club could unlock the potential he's always held. So I would like to see him leave, to be honest, just to see if that actually happens, because I don't think it's, really going great for him at the Saners. And yeah, hopefully St Kilda can get something worthwhile back in return. Pilch, any other free agents, or what free agents interest you the most?
I ranked my top 5 as Kelly, Guthrie, Parker, Crouch, Robbie Gray in that order. Obviously, Gray will re-sign. I actually would not mind the idea of Crouch coming to Port. I actually rate him, and I think he could do a job on the wing or on the inside of the midfield, and he's at a very good age. We've got an aging midfield, so would not mind that at all. And I agree, Luke Parker is underrated. I reckon he's a weapon, definitely an A-grader, and but he'll probably stay as well.
Yeah, Pilch, what do you think about Josh Kelly? I know you've talked about him coming to Port as a bit of a joke, but do you think he'll actually leave or not?
I don't know. That's hard. I want to see him leave, actually, just because it'll spice things up. But
yeah,
great.
Whether I think he will or not, I don't even know, to be honest. It's hard to say. I mean, the Giants will try their hardest to keep him, so yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want him to leave, but I just can't see it happening. I think I know he'll get good offers elsewhere because he's a gun, but I just reckon I don't know, that offer's too good to turn down for me. That's such a weird contract that he has that all in his favour. But anyway, fair play to him. Well done to his agent, I guess. Must be a gun at his job. All right, time for some Supercoach. I know Pilch has been dreading this one for a while because he is out of trades, but I'll go first. I had another pretty bad week. I got below 2,000, so looked at the teams on Thursday night and I knew my fate was sealed for the weekend. My team's crap anyway, so I struggled to get 2,000 at the best of times, but Libba and Cunners both got managed, who were like my M4 and M5 maybe, and Markov strained his calf the week before, and he sat out for a week, which I just read to Rowie before we came on. Apparently, he probably would have been fine to play, but the Suns have like a policy when they have a 6-day turnaround, they just anyone with a niggle doesn't play. So, yeah, that's always good to know. But so I had to cop Murph's 35 on the ground or whatever it was. But anyway, that's my fault for having a Boris side. So, yeah, I went down in rank somehow. I think I got came 80,000th in the round rank, which just wasn't good footy. Also had Dusty and Kelly, as a lot of people did. Had Bont and Grundy as my vice and captain duo, which neither turned up, which was pretty good to see. Not sure what else went wrong for me, but yeah, just not much went right for me, really. But anyway, we move on. I'm not that bothered at this point, out of all leagues, and just hoping to get a top 50k finish. Rowie, how'd you go?
Well, this week I focused a lot on my league games, because, as I've said previously, I'm like top 4 and top 2 in a couple of my leagues for points scored, but I'm actually outside the top 8. So I had to focus a lot on leagues this week, so I sort of got swept up in that a little bit. I got 2,239, which isn't ideal. I dropped sort of 648 spots to just outside the top 3K. Basically, I had about roughly the same projected as one of my matchups, and they had done the exact same captaincy decisions as me. So I was projected about sort of 20 or 30 more for basically the whole week. And we both VC'd McRae, and then he had left his captaincy on Grundy, and I had a feeling Grundy was going to go big, and I didn't want him to be the reason that I lost. So I also captained Grundy, which obviously didn't go well. Long story short, Bramble got 90. Opponent had him. I didn't really expect him to get 90, so that didn't help. And just everything sort of went against me. He ended up beating me by 12 points because Laird sort of just stopped in his last quarter. He was on track for 120 and he got 104. Salem was on track for 50 for my opponent and he got 86. And then obviously Bont and Daniel failed to ton up. So that's what costed me. And I lost that game, but I won my other two, so that's all right. But basically, for me, the situation is I'm currently outside the top 8 in those two leagues, but I'm probably going to be overtaking them, as I think the teams ahead of me are only one win ahead, but they're playing each other in both leagues and I've got a better percentage. So I should just get into finals for all my leagues, but will be interesting to see. Obviously with that Rowan Marshall news, it's kind of screwed up my trades. I was going to be getting him this week and then final upgrade next week, but I've got to just basically flip that. Bring in a forward this week around the 430, 440k mark, and then Marshall next week. Go down to 0 trades like Pilch, but I've got some good bench cover. I've got Bramble and Cody Waitman and Alec Waterman, Bianco and all that on the bench, so should be all right. Obviously, famous last words there, but yeah, it wasn't great this week, but it wasn't disastrous. I'm sure there were people that did worse, so I'll be looking on to next week. Hopefully can rise back into that top 3K.
Yeah, Pilch, how'd you go?
Yeah, as we've said, ran out of trades last week. Langford, Dusty, Whitfield, Mills, Kelly, Cripps.
Jesus.
So yeah, scored 2,100. Went from rank 800 down to 1,600. So the ranking's out the window now. I think I'm actually still top 2 in all my leagues, but got no trades, so I'm not winning any of my leagues either. So I think I might just have a look at my draft team actually this week. Haven't looked at that one since before round 1, so I might
don't.
Might get some. I've actually just seen that you went Big Cork, so you've been looking at that one, haven't you? So I might just go.
Mate, I'm
back.
I'm a weapon at draft because I'm the only one who plays.
Yeah, so I'll just go back and win the draft league, and then should be right. But no, I don't think I'm in the top 8 for that.
Last week.
Yeah, I played you, and you didn't go 400.
We only have 10 players, so there's a solid chance you're in the top 8, mate. I looked last week, and we had Josh Dunkley on the waivers.
Fuck. And you picked him up, didn't you?
So yeah, so I've been dealing with a lot of cheese like that. So I'm a chance. I'm not even first though. I think I'm like third. I think Rowie might be ahead of me. I think
I've
Tyler's
just looked
first.
at my draft league, and I've had Took Miller on the bench all year for Blake Acres, James Rowbottom, etc. on field. So that's not ideal. And yeah,
But yeah, if one person doesn't play though, you like automatically get subbed on. So you've probably been
okay,
alright.
beautiful.
Been alright most weeks. But yeah, fair enough. That does hurt. In terms of trades for me this week, just quickly, I cannot believe not picking up Lockie Bramble has legit like hurt me as much as it has. Like it was just a matter of I didn't have it do a downgrade the week he was on the bubble. Otherwise, I would have got him. But yeah, that hurts. For me, I'm just going Dusty to a sideways forward. Might do a second trade because Highmore's out this week and he's pretty expensive, so I might trade him, but then I'm down to one, so we'll see about that. But I don't really want to have Bianco and Murphy on my field because that's at least one guaranteed 20, maybe two, so that wouldn't be nice. So yeah, probably gonna have to do the two trades and just be stuck with one, but it's a bit scary in COVID times when anyone can go out at any minute for like 2 week period or something. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, it's all over for me. You guys sound a bit defeated yourselves. Rowie's still in the leagues, so is Pilch, but Pilch reckons he's done. But we'll check back in next week and see how we're all faring. All right, time for a round 19 preview. There's a couple games that we don't know where they are or if they're even going to happen, but we will still do our tips, but we don't have like a line for them. So I might just make one up and we can go from there. We'll also just go through the lines for the other games and tip according to that. We're dealing with a bit of a delay, so just bear with us, but we'll be patient here. So first up, we have Port Collingwood. As I mentioned, not sure if it's going to be happening, but let's give it a line of Port the favourites. Let's go. Let's say it's at the Adelaide Oval, and let's say 18 points. This is hard being a bookmaker. 18 points, Row. Are you going Port or Collingwood?
Probably just Port. Yeah.
Yeah, the venue matters way too much to even think about this. But yeah, Pilch.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was at the Adelaide Oval, then Port.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll just skip it because yeah, it's too big of a change if it's at a different venue. Carlton North. Carlton are the favourites. The Lions are only 6.5, which to me is quite interesting. I have no idea where this is being played, to be truthful. Rowie, who are you
At
backing?
the moment, it's Marvel.
Oh, okay, there you go.
At the moment, it's Marvel. I don't mind North here, actually. But yeah, it's the type of game where I reckon North are going to show up. But I reckon Carlton might just get the job done, and then like Harry might just kick 4 again. And Sammy Walsh will just tear it up.
This usual proceedings for Carlton. Pilch, what about you?
Yeah, Carlton.
Yeah, I'm going to back Carlton. I do have to say, though, North looked so good in the first half against Essendon. They were just moving the ball so fast, hitting so many targets. They had just like Taron Thomas, Aaron Hall, Zeeble just lurking around, hitting bombs, hitting blokes' chests. But yeah, anyway, fair play to North. Brizzy, Gold Coast, the Q Clash, I believe they call it. Last one was a blowout, wasn't it? It was like 80 points or something. But Gold Coast are a better side now. We like to think anyway. However, the line is pretty large, 27.5 in favour of the Lions. Rowie, who are you backing?
I don't mind the Suns there for the line, actually. I think we saw Brisbane sort of struggle to adjust to life after Eric Hipwood. I know he's obviously not a huge name, but I think he's obviously a key pillar of that forward line, and obviously the Suns tested the Dogs there, so I actually don't mind the Suns there on the line. I'd be tipping Brisbane, but I reckon the Suns might make it close.
Pilch?
Yeah, I'm going to go the Suns just because I'm going with the heart. So the Suns.
Fair enough, yeah.
No, if I was going ahead, I'd actually say Brisbane there. It's at the Gabba, so they'll beat the
I
best.
can picture Brisbane putting on a statement victory, like snapping their run of bad form. But I'm going to go the Suns just because that's a pretty big margin. But yeah, I feel like Gold Coast back line will be suited to Brisbane, even like without Hip put out, because they only really have Collins and Ballard. So yeah, it shouldn't be too noticeable that they're one tall down. But yeah, we'll see. But I'll back the Suns in the line. West Coast, St Kilda. This is one's in Perth. I actually do know that. So this is going to be an interesting game. West Coast, probably the most unpredictable team in the comp right now. You could actually argue it's St Kilda as well. The line is 13.5. West Coast are the favourites. I, for one, will go West Coast just because I don't know why. It's in Perth. Rowie, what about you?
I for 2 will go West Coast. Move on.
No, I'm going Saints.
Ooh, are you going Saints for the win as well, or just
For the
to cover
upset
the
as well.
line?
Both.
Oh, I like it. Bold,
Both.
bold. Yeah, all right. Next one, we won't bother with the line because it didn't really work for the Port Adelaide game. Adelaide Hawthorn, if they were to play, let's say it gets moved to Gold Coast. If they play at Metricon, who are you tipping, Rosef?
That's a very tough one, actually. No, a huge clash, 16th versus 17th, but I'd see. Look, a couple of weeks ago it's Adelaide, but they've been obviously had a few poor weeks, and Hawthorn just took it up to the D's. So I might actually back the Hawks to get this one. I think they're in they played all right, obviously all right against the D's, but probably just back the Hawks.
Pilch?
Yeah, you have to say Hawks at the moment on form.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd probably tip them at any venue. If it was in Adelaide, I'd maybe go Adelaide on the head-to-head, but I'd say the line would be in favour of Adelaide anyway, so I'd go Hawks to cover it. But yeah, back in the Hawks, and surely they have some ins because I know last week they were down some troops in the back line anyway. Well, I think Scrim's back this week. Just that's one of them anyway. Then the big game of the round. Well, I guess the grand final rematch is also pretty sizable, but the D's versus the Dogs. Once again, no idea where this is being played. Rowie, do you know where it is?
I don't know where it is. I'll have a look for you. But I'm probably going to go the D's. I think they just have that knack to always get it over the good sides. I think it's at the G. But yeah, I'm going to say the D's there.
Yep. Pilch, Melbourne's #1 fan. Are you backing your boys in again?
Yeah, 100% Melbourne. They beat all the good teams. Petrarca and the best two players in the comp. Petrarca's the one in form at the moment, so definitely the D's.
Spicy. There'll be a lot of talk about that matchup for sure. I'll go the Doggies. Libba comes back in, makes a huge difference. They looked faltering in the first half of that game on the weekend, and it's because they didn't have Libba. Libba comes back in. He has 30 clearances. Gets Hugh Janus 150,000 Supercoach points. So I'm backing in the Dogs. Why not? Maybe they cover the spread and Melbourne win head to head. The old line of 1.5. Sydney Freo line is 22.5. Quite sizable. Sydney are the favourites. Tough one. Rowie, who are you going here?
Sydney.
Pilch?
Easy.
Yeah, you probably have to say Sydney. It's actually kind of a hard one, though.
Why did you kick 4+?
Spicy Freo. Do not.
Well, actually, Sean Darcy might be out.
Alex Pearce. Yeah,
and Freo's defence is obviously undermanned. I think Sydney are going to kick a lot against them.
Yeah, I tell you what, Alex Pearce had a crack against Geelong, but he was struggling out there. You could tell he was.
Walken still kicks like 5 or something.
Mate, you're an Alex Pearce
really struggling.
Boy, mate.
Nah, I reckon he had a stinker though. Like there was one point where he legit gave away three free kicks in the space of like 4 minutes. So it was like everything he was doing was just not going right. But yeah, felt bad for him. No, I just feel bad for him because his injury luck's been so bad, and I I cling on to that year. He was like in All-Australian contention when he snapped his leg. But yeah, anyway, that was a long time ago. Yeah, I'll back in the Swannies, even though Freo are a bit of a yo-yo team, so they could bounce back and have a contest. I think Sydney will win, and yeah, we'll back them in to win by 22.5. Essendon, GWS, I don't think we know anything about this game, actually. I don't think we know where it is, what time it is, what day it is, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll just go head-to-head here. I'm going to back in the Bombers. I just think they're in better form. Rowie?
Yeah, I'll go the Bombers too. I think we saw that without Toby Green, the Giants are obviously just a different team. It's like Saints without the ruck combo. So yeah, I'm going to go the Bombers.
Yep, Pilch?
Giants.
Ooh, he's back.
Ooh,
to be fair,
keep up to that.
They do,
especially with the delay.
Yeah, I was on the edge of my seat. To be fair, they do actually win when you least expect it. But yeah, I don't know why. I feel like North actually played really well on the weekend, and I reckon they would have beaten most teams. But I didn't watch the second half, so I can't really talk. Grand final rematch. Don't know where this is. I'd guess it's in Geelong, but with COVID, could be anywhere. Geelong are the favourites. The line is 16.5. I don't know what to say. Rowie, who are you going?
It's tough because I don't really know how Tigers are going to respond without Dusty. So, I might just go the Cats.
Pilch?
I think this game's actually at the G.
Okay.
And as a result, I'm going to go with the Tigers. Because I saw on Twitter Chris Scott emailed the AFL trying to get it changed to Simmons, and he got knocked back. So,
just the old email from Chris Scott. What would he have said? Like, dear Gillen, we get dogged every year, and we
play at
finals
Simmons
at the G. It's not even called Simmons, bro. It's called fucking GMHBA. When was it Simmons?
It's called the Cattery.
Remember the Cattery. I'll back in Richmond. I'll say Geelong win by 14, and that means Richmond win the line. So, yeah, I feel like Richmond ambush is on because of the Dusty omission, but I just think Geelong are too secure. I trust them too much to lose the game, but I think it won't be a big margin. And 16.5 is pretty sizable against the Tigers at the G. But that's it for week 19. Another great episode. For those who had money on 54 minutes, Rosif, you win the bet. Well played. Could have been some match fixing in there. You've muted yourself, but we'll just pretend you haven't. There could have been match fixing there. We don't know.
That's shocking form for me.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say I win the line there.
Yeah,
I win the line for the length of the episode.
Yeah, well played to you, the expert better. You got a few multis up on the weekend. Did you profit overall, or did the losses outweigh the profits?
Oh no, I think I chucked in 10. I sort of cashed in at 120, 130, so I'll definitely take it. But it was at 160 or 70 at one point. I was sitting in the garage on Saturday night. I lost all my Saints Port ones and Hawks Melbourne one, and I was at 170. I was down to 100. I thought, well, this is shit. So I put like $1 on like 5 horses in one race in Ireland. I don't know how you pronounce it, but Curragh or something like that. It was race 1 of the day. There was 5 roughies in there. I chucked $1 on each of them, and one of the $51 odds came storming home. So ranked $51 there, so got the account going again. But I withdrew 100 odds. So that was handy. Paid for a bit of petrol, so definitely take that. I think, what was his name? It was a Curragh race 1. It was, where's that lovely horse that stormed home? It was John the Baptist.
Oh, John the Baptist
did it for me at Curragh race 1, so good on him.
I know John the Baptist well. Good bloke. Pilch, did you have any success in the multis on the weekend?
Nah, mate. I haven't put a multi on in a short while, so, and hopefully it stays that way. Probably won't stay that way, but
No, fair enough. To be fair, it actually provided me with some entertainment. Rosef sending through his slips. I was pumped when you see all the green ticks. It's just great. It's great.
It is. I reckon good tactic this year's Brownlow night. Just deposit like 100, 150 and just chuck on like 15 different things. That's what I did last year. It was great fun.
Yeah.
Because you actually like it's all happened, so it's a really good chance of getting up.
Yeah, you guys always do the multi with every club's winner though, and you always get 2 wrong. And it's like
Nah, I don't do that.
it's impossible.
I did like last year. You can literally do any player in the comp to poll a vote. Like I did. Nick Hine was like best on against Sydney one game, and for the whole year, just to poll a vote, he was like $2.50. So I chucked like $50 on it and got up obviously. So, yeah, definitely a good tactic.
I wonder what
I've got a future on at the moment for Luke Parker to finish top 20 in the Brownlow. Got it for $3.25 earlier in the year. It was looking bad, but he's actually started playing well again the last few weeks, so he might be a sniff.
I don't even hate that because they've won a lot of games, and I don't really know who would pick up their votes.
Mills has been better, but the umpires
true.
Probably prefer Parker because he's the big name.
Yeah, and the umpires don't care if you chop it.
Yeah, I've also got Georgiades pre-season, put $5 on him, and the odds have already halved, so we'll be collecting that at the end of the year as well.
That's beautiful.
Wait,
for the Rising Star.
Are you going to cash out, or do you actually think he's going to win?
Oh, he's got it in his back pocket.
Wait, can't tell if serious or not. I saw your tweet, but
I reckon he actually should win. The only blokes ahead of him are Jordan Jackson and Tom Green.
Yeah, you've just named 3 blokes.
Give it to but like, do they deserve it?
Tom Green's like 26. How's he eligible? I actually don't cop it. Like, I'm not convinced. But yeah, anyway, fair play. No, I'll back in James Jordan. Solid player in a top 2
I think
team.
him and Mitch are the top 2.
Yeah, fair enough. Georgiades is a good player. He will be a gun. All right, that's enough dribble for today, I reckon, boys. We've been in our finest of dribbling fashion. I'm still just looking at the tips and just going through my head. There's some have absolutely stumped me there, but it's throwing me for a real one. We're actually going right on an hour, Rowie. I've match fixed it for you perfectly.
There you
go. But well done. Good luck to Port and St Kilda this weekend. Hopefully they both get up wherever Port play, whoever they play, and St Kilda against the Weagles. Everyone will be going for them because everyone hates West Coast. Good luck at Supercoach as well. I hope you beat me, Rowie. It's because, there's no point in me winning, really.
Kind of needs to, no offense.
Yeah, well, with the greatest respect, I think it's paying about $1.06 maybe. Maybe that's even generous. It's like Novak coming up against Alex Bolt or something in round 1.
Baracus.
And not at the Oz Open. at the Belgrade Open. It's just not even a chance, but thanks for joining me, boys.
Oz Open would favour Novak more, mate.
Nah, mate, Bolt. Aussie's a beast in Australia. Tell me Bolt's got a chance at Belgrade when he's being abused in Serbian. But yeah, anyway. It's an absolute dribble, boys. We'll be back next week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining me, lads. Enjoy lockdown. Stay safe. Go Team GB, actually, in the Olympics and Australia. Anyway, bye.